One day, I'll teach chemistry to kids.
I want to be an architect.
My dream is to be a chef.
There's a world of possibilities. A world in which people who put their minds to something can really make a difference.
My goal is to help the environment.
Someday I'll find a cure for cancer. At the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid, we believe that aspiring minds can achieve anything. So we dedicate ourselves to making sure everyone has an opportunity to go to college. Each year,
I knew he was coming.
$150 billion in grants, loans, and work study funds, making higher education possible for anyone at any stage of life. I'll get to go to college. I can change careers.
You be safe at home, okay?
Learn more about money for college at studentaid.com.
Right when you are. Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Plate. As always, I'm your host, Nick Sakalis, coming to you live from the WGBB studios here in Merrick, New York. And just like every Monday, I'm here 6 to 7. And it looks like the theme that has been going on for the past few weeks has been continuing over and over and over again. And that theme is a lot of craziness, a lot of chaos, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of panic. Lump it all into one. I don't know what the right word for that package would be, but that's what we have right now. We still don't officially know who our president is. So add that to the mix. There's still a lot of craziness that's going on right now as far as that's concerned. I'm not even going to, honestly, I'm so tired of that whole situation. I'm not even going to tackle that on. I got much bigger things in the real estate world to talk about than that at this moment. Because if I start talking about that, I'm going to go crazy about it, and I don't want to get crazy and get other people crazy as well. So we'll continue that topic, and we'll talk about it another day. But today we're going to talk about like what's going on in the real estate world today. A lot of the stuff that's been happening as far as the Escape New York mentality that's been continuing, and it's been an ongoing theme. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. We'll be talking a little bit more about what's going on with the ongoing landlord-tenant issues that we have. That's been a theme that I'm not going to give up on. I've said that before. I'm going to be campaigning on that. If you're looking at me from Facebook and YouTube, I'm just adjusting the cameras a little bit. So excuse me for the little bit of bad angles, but I just noticed that my shiny spot on my head is shining, and I don't want you to be blinded by the cameras. And we'll talk about that a little bit as far as the Eviction Moratorium, the landlord-tenant issues that we're dealing with, and a lot more throughout the show. But before I even dive into that, I just want to jump into a couple things that I've been getting messages on and questions on. The first thing is I've been getting messages from a lot of the viewers and followers that are on YouTube in particular, asking me, why am I advertising for Preparation H or for Kool-Aid or for, I don't know, whatever else is being advertised on YouTube? I'm just letting you guys know that I don't control what they advertise on YouTube. That's one of the prices we pay of using a free platform that people use and take advantage of. And I'm grateful that we do have that platform. Otherwise, I'd have to be in a show that I'd be charging people. As you can see, I don't put advertising on the show. Maybe I will one day, but at this moment, I don't have any advertising on the show. And I put it on a free platform to make it accessible to everybody. So once in a while, if you get a Preparation H commercial for about 6 to 10 seconds, bear with it. maybe you'd actually use it. I don't know. I can't control what they put on there. That's their discretion. If I could pick what I would put on as a show sponsor, everybody knows my thing with Starbucks. Starbucks, I am still waiting. You see this? I'm still waiting for your endorsement. I'm starting to think it'll never happen, but I still want Starbucks to be my sponsor. I drink enough coffee there. They could probably pay me in coffee if they want. I don't think they're going to want to because it'll cost them a lot more in coffee than they would in any advertising form. But if I had my choices, I'd have my choices. And the other thing, I would definitely not have Zillow as one of the sponsors. And they are continuously being targeted on the YouTube channel, on all my videos. I guess because I'm a real estate channel, they keep endorsing them and keep pushing them. I do not like Zillow. Everybody knows that. So, in case you're watching this show right now, whether it's live or if it's in a replay, just keep this in mind. I do not endorse Zillow. So if there was a Zillow commercial right before this or right after this caption or whatever the case is, I'm not endorsing it in any way. I actually do the exact opposite of that. I'm anti-Zillow. So again, I'd rather see Preparation H commercials than Zillow on there. You get that problem, Trevor? You get all crazy commercials on your channel.
All the time, man. All the time.
What do you do about it?
Nothing you can do about it.
And you have a nice, wholesome show. Not like mine. I'm yelling and ranting at everybody and taking out all my frustrations in life and on real estate.
That's good.
But you have a nice, wholesome show. So I don't think you're going to want to have a Viagra commercial right before your thing. But you can't control it. Lou, by the way, if you're listening to the show, I don't know if he's in studio or not. As everybody knows, Streetwise happens right after the real estate plate every Monday. He was very kind to be on the show last week. Thank you again for being on the show. As always, people love you. They always write really positive comments about you. Apparently, they like you more than they like me. So the door is open for you to come and join me anytime you like. Trevor gets a kick out of that. So since we're on the whole sponsored commercial thing, before I get out of that completely, I'm also going to jump into one other thing. I have had a few people call me up to sponsor the show and have some type of advertising or something to that effect. I'm not quite sure of how I want to approach that. But the one thing that I will say, if anybody's listening to the show right now and they do want to become a sponsor to the show, I won't put anybody on the show as a sponsor unless I endorse them or I believe in the product. So if it's not a product I believe in or a product that has been proven to me, I just won't go with it. For me, it's not about the money. It's not about a money grab to have anybody sponsor on the show. I want to keep the integrity of the show as true to its true intent as possible. And I want to make sure that everybody's clear on that. So if you do want me to sponsor the show, again, I'd ideally like everything to be real estate related. But if it's advertising or sponsors, I'd go outside of that a little bit. If it's something I endorse, again, one more time, Starbucks, you're not real estate related, but I will sponsor you if you want to be on the show. And I could turn it into real estate related because I don't know how many cups of this to keep myself going throughout the whole day. So just making that out there, putting that out there. I'm letting everybody know that. Anybody that's watching me today, I'm wearing a New York Giants jersey. No, I have not betrayed my team by wearing this shirt. Anybody that knows me personally or anybody that's had any kind of football conversation with me, I'm a New York Bills fan. The reason why I'm a New York Bills fan, why? Because I'm a New Yorker and I only root for teams that are from New York. And the New York Giants are not from New York. They play in New Jersey. So I'd be more supportive of them if they wrote New Jersey Giants instead of New York Giants on there. But the only reason I'm wearing this is because my lovely wife that I love so much bought this shirt for me. I found it in front of me right before I left because I had a change. She loves the color, so I wore it to make her happy. And there you go. Not because I support the team. All right, now that we got all the nonsense out of the way, let's dive into what's happening with real estate today. And like I hinted a little earlier, we definitely are having the ongoing trend, and it doesn't seem to be dissipating. It doesn't seem to be changing in any way, where people are still genuinely panicked of being clustered into New York City, and they are slowly but surely, and in some instances, in some cases, they are actually more rapidly moving out of the locations. Where are they going? They're going to the suburbs, comprised of Nassau County and Suffolk County, Westchester, Rochester. These are areas that they're moving into. And beyond that, they're going out of state. Pennsylvania has been a very big spot for New Yorkers that have been moving out to, some in Connecticut, some in New Jersey, not as many as New Jersey as the other states, because New Jersey, as we are a very high price tax state. So that's been playing a big factor for a lot of people. Texas, Florida, these have been real big trendsetters as far as New Yorkers evacuate to. But in our immediate radius, it's been all in the suburbs. It's been coming in Nassau County, Suffolk County, Westchester. These are the places people have been going to. And for that reason, we've been in a complete deficit of inventory over the past few months. There is really such a lack of inventory for the amount of demand. And this is crazy that I'm actually talking about this right now because we're about a week and a half away from Thanksgiving. And I don't remember a time or any other year that we were in this time period in November and had such an extreme demand. It is something that is a phenomenon. It's not going away. It's going to be around for a few more months. I don't know how many more months because like everybody, like I said a million times, I don't have a crystal ball. I do not have that, fortune teller type of skill. If I did, I would be a billionaire, maybe a trillionaire. I'd give Jeff Bezos a run for his money if I was a fortune teller, but I'm not. But I am a guy that could actually evaluate the situation and figure out where things are going. And where things are going is a continuing thread of people moving out of the city. We got the pending possibility of getting locked down again. That's not going to be good. That was my phone. Like I always forget to put it on silent. During the show, I ended up leaving it on. And at least you see that phone calls are still coming in. It's 6 o'clock? And I guarantee phone calls are going to still be coming in till 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And that's been the trend for every day right now for real estate. Unfortunately, we don't have places to sell them because there's no inventory out there. But going back to what I was just saying, we have a mild curfew that's happening. And that curfew is mostly against the restaurants, eateries, places where you have social gatherings, bars, that type, lounges, and a few other type of locations in the mix that have now had a new curfew put on them of 10 p.m. And it looks like we might possibly have another across the board type of lockdown or quarantine. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. I'm not sure if this will become another reality, but everybody's preparing for the worst. And because everybody's preparing for the worst, not only are people still looking for places to move out of the city, they're becoming more aggressive about it. And bigger bidding wars are happening on houses. The interest rates are super low, beyond anything we could even comprehend over the past few years. You know, it's funny. It's like it's like we're a broken record saying the same thing over again. Historical lows in interest rates. Where we're here, they don't get much lower than where we're at right now, unless we're going to hit 1% or zero at one point, which I don't know. And I don't think that will ever happen because the people that are lending the money actually want to get a return on the loans that they're giving. So I don't think the lenders will actually go any lower because they need to actually be profitable. So this is pretty much as low as it gets. Like I said, I don't know. Something crazy could happen. The government could turn around and give subsidies and force people to give a lower interest rate, but I don't see that happening. So people are really, really jumping for these low interest rates. The properties are skyrocketing, but in the city, different story. It really is a tale of two cities. We got the suburbs, we got the outskirts of New York City, and we have the actual metropolis itself, which is right now suffering. They're having a really hard time getting rid of their inventory. Their inventory is just building up over and over again. And this is not just unique to New York. You know, I like to be more central talking about New York type of situations because obviously we're in New York City, we're in New York, and I'm going to be talking more about New York. That's my bias because I'm from New Yorker, and at the same time, that's what I know best. But at the same time, I'm not ignorant to what is happening across the nation, not going across the states, and it's the same trend over and over and over again. You see people that are evacuating from the major metropolises, and they're going into the outskirts. They're going into the suburbs. They're going to the more rural estates. They're fed up. And they're not fed up just because of the pandemic that we're dealing with. Don't get things confused. Don't misconstrue what the facts are. We have this pandemic, this coronavirus, this COVID-19 thing that has been driving everybody insane, stir crazy, terrifying them. And I'm not saying that it's not unwarranted because, you know, everybody has the right to be alarmed and be concerned. I'm concerned. I have my kids. I have my wife. I want everybody to be safe. So we're doing what we can to take the right precautions. I was just telling Trevor when I came in here, you know, we wear a mask because they say it might or might not help. So I wear it. Not because I think it's a trendy thing, not because I'm trying to set some kind of fashion statement. It's because they say that it possibly could help. And the other thing is when I'm wearing it, it makes the people that are around me feel more comfortable. And the more comfortable people around me are feeling, the better we can live in a nice environment altogether. So it can't hurt you. I'm not sure what it does for me, but I know it can't hurt me, so I wear it. And I don't complain about it. So all the people that are out there that are making a big deal about it, try not to make a big deal about it, because if you could just make one person feel more comfortable that has high anxiety and you're freaking them out and giving them a heart attack because you're in the supermarket wearing a mask and causing a whole big issue out of it, You shouldn't do that. And the other thing is you're putting the store owners in a really bad predicament by forcing them to police you. Everybody should be more accountable for themselves. It's just how it goes. Again, I'm not going to get into that craziness with the whole mask, not mask thing, that kind of thing. I'm not going to get into that. I said my piece. People are in a position to make their own decisions and live the way they want to live. Okay? As long as you don't disturb the other people around you, you're fine. But I digress. The same type of mindset that we have here in New York is rampant all across the country. And like I said, the coronavirus is a big part of why this is happening and why people have this mindset. But it's not the only reason. If you notice, the states that are having the highest exodus are the states that are the highest cost of living states, the ones that have the highest amount of real estate taxes, the ones that have additional state taxes, additional city taxes, additional, you want to live, we're going to tax you tax. Those are the states that are having that biggest problem of the exodus. You're not seeing a high exodus happening from states and metropolises that are a little more spread out, and two, a little bit more reasonable as far as the cost of living. Keep that in mind, because this is going to not only living right now, this will be an ongoing theme. This will change. This will not change. And this will only get amplified unless it's addressed state by state, government by government, locality by locality. It's time for everybody internally to take a good look at what their system is and what they're doing, and see how they could fix the problem. And speaking of problems, I'll dive right into this eviction moratorium that we're dealing with right now. Excuse me. Once more, that cough is because I'm a smoker, and I know I need to quit smoking. I've had that dry cough for quite some time before we even heard of or even knew what a coronavirus was. So it's not a coronavirus. I went to the doctor the other day. He said, quit smoking. And I will soon, hopefully. Either that or smoking will quit me, and I'd rather be my way rather than smoking's way. But that being said, I know that I'm getting animated. I'm getting like all, nuts about this whole situation. But the eviction moratorium, see, I'm talking calm now. I'm not letting myself get aggravated. The eviction moratorium has been going for quite some time now. We've been dealing with this for months. And it is all across the board throughout the country. But even in that, and this is why I'm going to go back to what I was just saying about state by state, city by city, of how they're addressing this differently. Every state and every city, every municipality has been addressing this in a different way. And that's not right either. There should be one clear protocol for how it's been affected. Everybody knows how I feel about this whole situation of how unfair it is and how unjust it is to the landlords that are out there. And you can say boo-hoo about the landlords. I've said this 100 times. You stop talking about how the big bad landlord is being hurt. But it's not only the big landlords, it's the small landlords as well. They're being hurt in a way where everybody could understand. And you know what? We got time in the show right now. Let's put together a nice little story, and let's talk about how a perfect world or imperfect world could exist around us. And I'll give you a scenario, and you could agree or disagree, or tell me if it's a nice scenario or a bad scenario. So here we go. You have a cook. He works in the kitchen. He slaves in that kitchen day and night, cooking food on top of the grill, on top of the fire, sticking his arms halfway through the oven, burning himself on a daily basis, putting out I don't know how many hundreds of plates a day, feeding so many people on a daily basis, putting in 14, 16-hour shifts. That cook takes a lot of pride in what he does. He looks forward to the end of the week to be able to come home with that paycheck to say, job well done. Now you could put food on your family's table. All those plates that you served throughout the whole week, those filled a purpose for you to be able to gain enough money to put a roof over your kids' heads and put a hot dinner plate on their table. And then all of a sudden, the government comes around and says, you know what? We love what you do. You're doing a great thing for the community. We want you to continue working as hard as you've been working. Continue even working harder than that. But you know what? You can't get paid anymore. We want you to keep working every day, 7 days a week. But we're not going to pay you. You may or may not get paid down the line. We can't guarantee that. But you know what? The business owner, he doesn't have to pay you anymore. And we're going to say that this is going to hold for about 3 months. And then once those 3 months are over, then we're going to extend it for another 3 months. And once those 3 months are over, we're going to extend it for another 3 months. And we're close to a year now. And you haven't getting paid for a whole year, Mr. Cook or Mrs. Cook. And you've been slaving in that kitchen. You've been working your butt off. I'm being PG right now, and I'm not using curse words because FCC is going to get on our back, and then Trevor's going to give me a problem, and then there's going to be no real estate played anymore. See, I'm being on good behavior. I'm saying, nice words, not the words that are coming to my mind immediately. So, Mr. and Mrs. Cook, you keep working. And then after it's all over, you can decide whether you want to, and you could sue the restaurant owner or the business owner and see if you get your back pay. Maybe. An attorney while you're at it. How's that sound as a scenario for you? Sound pretty fair? Sounds equivalent to me as being an indentured servant. Oh, I forgot to mention one last thing. While you're working, we're going to decide to tax your pots and pans. And you got to pay us that tax. And if you don't pay us that tax, we're going to put the fear of God into you and possibly make you think that we're going to take all your pots and pans away and give them to the public. How does that feel? You like working? You getting burned every day? Getting insulted every day by patrons? Telling you you're the worst cook in the whole world? Meanwhile, you might be a great cook. Would you like that? Would you like people to put pictures up of a chef with horns on there and distribute it through the whole public? Would that be a good scenario? No, I could almost guarantee that everybody that's listening right now is going to say, you're out of your mind. Nick, I don't know what you're saying on the radio right now. This could never happen. You can never do that to somebody. And you know what? You would be right. You can do that to somebody unless that somebody is a landlord. So that whole scenario I just painted, out of that person working 7 days a week and having to put money out of their pocket on a daily basis, no pay coming in, may be fictional in the life of a cook or a chef, but it's not fictional in the life of a landlord. So, all joking aside, you could take that same scenario and apply it to every single trade out there. You could go to the police officers out there and say to the police officers, great job. We love what you're doing, but we want you to continue working and not get paid. And you know what? You got to pay us tax on your guns and on your uniforms while you're at it. How would you like that, Mr. and Mrs. Police Officer? I'm not going to say the fire department because half the fire departments are volunteers anyway. So I'm not going to add them into the mix. But why not? Let's put the doctors into the mix. Doctors and Mr. and Mr. Doctor. You took the Hippocratic Oath. You're supposed to take care of the world. You should starve yourself to take care of people. You don't need to get paid. You get paid when we say so. And then once the pay moratorium, we'll call it, because, now it's pay. It's not eviction moratorium. Once the pay moratorium is over, that hospital could decide whether they're going to pay you or not. And if they don't pay you, then you sue the hospital on your own dollar, of course. You're going to have to basically hire your own attorneys to do that. And then you could turn around and say, try to get your money back. And you may or may not win. And you might get your money for all those past months. But in the meantime, if you don't got a ton of savings, and if you have a ton of expenses, by the way, we're going to tax your stethoscopes. You better make sure that you're paying your taxes, because if you don't pay your tax on your stethoscopes, you're going to get extreme fines, penalties, and maybe we'll take them away from you. How's that sound as a fair type of scenario? I know it's crazy. I'm talking about really, really wild things right now. But that's what's happening to the landlords right now. That's what's happening. That guy or that woman that owns that 2-3 family house that just lost their job, and the only thing, because they can't get unemployment anymore because, one, the federal type of funding has stopped for the restriction. 2, they're not an employee, so they don't work on a W-2, so they can't get weekly unemployment benefits the way everybody else can. They're stuck. They're not making any income. And the same excuse that everybody's making that's a tenant out there applies to the landlords as well. There's no jobs out there. Okay, if there's no jobs out there for the tenants, there's no job out there for the landlords. So why are you telling the landlord, pay your real estate taxes if they don't have money to pay? Pay the water bill if they don't have money to pay. Pay your insurance if they don't have money to pay. The tenant just turned on the bathtub and let it overfill and had a leak go through the entire building, and not only destroyed their own unit, destroyed the unit that's right under that. Pay for that. We don't care if you don't have any money to pay. And if you don't do that, the tenant's going to call 311, and guess what's going to happen? you're going to get fines and penalties on top of it. And if you don't pay all the other stuff, you're going to get fines and penalties on top of it. And now you're going to be labeled as a slumlord. Why? You don't have any money. You know how many people on a daily basis I talk to that are loading up their credit cards just to be able to cover the expenses for places? Bringing in a plumber is not cheap. Even if they're going to unclog a toilet, they're going to take $100, $200 just to unclog a toilet. Or if they're going to snake, they're going to snake. You know those $49.99 guys? Yeah, it sounds pretty cheap. $50, right? But if they got to go one way, that's $50. You got to go the other way, that's $50. You got to go north, you got to go south. It's $50 every single time. So now you're paying $200-$300 to take out a clog. And that's money that a lot of landlords, especially the smaller landlords, don't have. Or they're depleting their savings, or they're putting them themselves in higher debt. This is a really serious thing. And that's the reason why I'm getting so... I just got frustrated. I got animated again. And I said I wasn't going to do that. But I can't help it because I'm really feeling for everybody right now. Not because I'm also a landlord. If I got to work another 10 jobs, I'll work another 10 jobs to support people that don't want to pay me. What am I going to do? That's what the government tells me. I got to work 9 to 5. I don't even know what a 9 to 5 is anymore. I don't think I ever knew what that is. If I got to work 22 out of 24 hours and take an hour so I could eat, take a shower, and then another hour so I could sleep just to get my muscles up and start another 22-hour shift, I guess that's what I have to do. But you know what? Not everybody is willing to do that. Not everybody is as stubborn as I am or as stupid as I am, where I'm willing to do that. And they shouldn't be. Now, this is not propaganda. This is not stuff that I'm just saying, like just to light people up. I'm not trying to get a reaction from people. I'm just trying to reach out to the humanity of people. I want the right thing to be done. It's not right. You know, it's not about the haves and have-nots. This thing has affected everybody. You know, we're talking about we're all in this together. I said this before, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying this. We're all in this together unless you're a landlord. Why aren't they doing the same thing to Con Edison? For everybody that's not from New York and doesn't know what Con Edison is, that's our local electric companies. Why aren't they doing to National Grid, which is our gas companies? Why are they not putting a payment moratorium on them? I'm not saying that they should. I'm not saying that they should. But at the same time, they're providing a service the same way a landlord, who, by the way, just so people don't understand what a landlord is, it's a housing provider. A housing provider. And what a housing provider does is they are responsible to have a fair, a decent, up to code type of living environment for people to be able to live in. That's what it is, a housing provider is. And they have a very big role in society, and they have a very big role as far as our daily living and our communities are concerned. And they have just as big of a role as Con Edison, as National Grid, your local oil companies that are coming in to bring you oil to provide heating, your water municipalities, which, by the way, are ran not privately. They could be, frozen if they want to. They could pause those as well, but they don't. They choose not to. And I'm just talking about utilities right now. And again, I'm not saying that these utilities should be put in that point. But you can't pick and choose. You're picking and choosing. You don't have to pay, but you have to pay. You don't have to pay, but you have to pay. It doesn't make sense. And I get it. There's a lot of tenants out there that are hurting. And you never hear anything coming back from me about saying that tenants should be punished or whatever the case. I don't believe that. There's a lot of really good people out there that are suffering a really good amount right now. And they're generally out of work and they're stuck. They're in a really bad place. And by the way, whether the landlords are going to pay for it or the money's going to come from somewhere else later on the line, the community is going to pay for it. I trust me, that's going to happen. It's going to happen. Right now, they want to throw everything on the landlords. Eventually, it's going to be the entire community and our entire area that's going to be paying. All the taxpayers are going to end up paying for this whole situation down the line. How that's going to pan out at the end, you'll see. I'll map it up for you as we go, and you'll see how that's going to work out. But I already see the writing on the wall for that. But I'm going to be very clear with you. I'm going to be super clear with everybody on this. I'm not saying this against tenants. I'm saying this about tenants that are manipulating the system and taking advantage of landlords, and the government turn around and basically neutered and handcuffed the landlords of being able to take any recourse. Because it's bad enough if a landlord has to lose rent, have to take a tenant to court in order to get them out. That costs them money because, by the way, a tenant gets a free attorney, not a landlord. You want me to get started about that? I could get started about that. How's that equal? That's not equal to me. If you're going to give a free attorney to one side, you should be able to give the free attorney to the other side. You know, it's a form of discrimination if you think about it. Because right now, how they're discriminating is perceived wealth. The belief that all landlords have money just falling out of their pockets. We're running around. Oh my God. Look, you see my big bag right here? You see my big bag right here? It's full of money. Actually, it's full. But it's, yeah, I'm running around with big duffel bags full of money. And, you know, and I'm collecting it from everybody. And I'm kicking people over and taking their money and adding it to my big bag. That's the perception. The reality is, you got landlords that are working 1 or 2 jobs just to support that building and basically have just enough left over to take care of their family. Their idea, their whole concept and belief is, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to work like a dog. I'm going to do everything I can to pay this, I'm going to call it monstrosity off, because that's what these buildings and houses are turning into. They're turning into monsters and horror stories right now to pay this off. So one day I don't have a mortgage anymore. And then when I don't have a mortgage anymore, I might be at retirement age and I could actually live off of this. Because Social Security is not going to help me. Social Security might not even exist when I'm retired. I'll tell you something. I'm 43 years old. Yeah, I know I probably don't look like I'm 53 right now because I'm getting all gray and I'm losing my hair and I'm got my COVID cut and I'm freaking out right now. And I'm talking like some old timer, I guess, to some people. But I'm only 43 years old. They've already bumped up my age when I could collect Social Security twice. They'll probably bump it up one more time by the time I get of age. Who knows what's going to be left in the pantries after all these politicians raid the pantries if there's going to be anything left. But let's say there is something left. There is no way I'm going to be able to survive. Not in New York, I'll tell you that much. There's not going to be a chance that I'll be able to survive in New York for what I'm going to collect in Social Security. That's a reality. I could take whatever maybe I have in savings, but if these new tax plans that they're projecting of 62%, taking 62% from everybody, take fruition, I'm not going to have any savings. But let's say I have a couple of scraps and a couple of pennies left over in savings. Maybe I'll move over to my father's island that's in Greece, that's on a volcano. I'll breathe the volcano fumes and live for the rest of my life there. They'll mummify me and I'll live forever. Maybe that's how that's how I'll live the remaining days of my existence. The whole point is for landlords to have an incentive and have a reason to want to grow. If you don't give them that incentive, if you don't give that freedom, you're going to have a big problem. Because they're not going to want to do it anymore. And I promise you, we dove into this a little bit before last week. As far as public housing is concerned, the government, the local municipalities, the state, even the Fed, they're not in a position to run an enormous amount of public housing to take the place of all the private housing that's out there. And if they did, do you know how much it would cost the government to do so? And in a perfect world, if they did it the right way, and these were lovely homes that everybody was living in, do you know how much this would cost the government? Where's the government getting the money from? It's coming back from you. So guess what's going to happen? We're going to jump up your taxes even more. So get rid of the landlords. Get rid of them. See what happens then. We're talking about a real delicate situation, a really combustible situation that's about to happen. And the horrible thing about it is you're getting all this animosity that's building up between landlords and tenants that is really unnecessary. Landlords and tenants should not be angry with each other. They actually should be really happy. And the best situations that I ever see, especially if I take my own situation, when I have decent people, good people that are my tenants, I go out of my way to help them out. And I've seen this happen from the opposite end. The tenants that are decent people, if you're decent to them, will do the same for their landlord. And there's a nice relationship. You're not going and banging on the door and screaming, "Give me my rent." They're calling you and telling you, "When do you want to come for your rent?" Why? Because you're being decent to them. You're being good to them. You're taking care of the place. You're making sure that the halls are cleaned up. You're making sure that there's no graffiti on the walls. You're making sure that everything that you could possibly need, you take care of. The hot water goes out, you take care of that right away. An appliance goes out, you either have it repaired or get a new one or a replacement as soon as humanly possible. When you do these things, people that are genuine good people respect that in each other. But now what's happening is you have the government turning around and they're saying to Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, you don't have to pay. You should, but you don't have to. And you know what happens when you tell somebody you don't have to pay? Even if they're good people, they think that they immediately are going to get a handout from the government. And there's no guarantee that's going to happen. There's been talks about vouchers being distributed to pay for tenants that aren't paying. And that might still happen for the people that are truly affected by COVID-19 and the people that have truly been put in a hardship because of the coronavirus and this pandemic. But the people that are not paying and are not being affected by this are going to have a rude awakening. They're not going to have a voucher come to them. And what's going to happen then? And now, because this idea that they're going to have a voucher come to them magically from the government that nobody's going to pay for it, just print it out and here you go, pay for this, pay for that. Because of that notion that they have, that idea, that dream that they have, they've been not paying the rent. And they think they're going to be able to work the system. And not only that, they're being nasty to the landlords. And what's happening, you're having a lot of landlords being angry with them. And this is not a natural occurrence. This is not something that was done by some kind of outside source. This has happened from a direct source, from inside, from our own government. They basically put us at odds with each other for no reason. And that's not right. It's not right. And it's sad. It's just going to get worse. I promise you, it's going to get a lot worse. Especially when you start seeing these smaller landlords, one by one, starting to default on their loans and starting to get foreclosed on. Because now, what happened is the government just allowed a person to get kicked out on the street when they're saying that they put that eviction moratorium to stop that from happening. I don't know what they're going to do to stop this situation, to help this situation, to remedy the situation, but they're going to have to do something because it's not right. You know, again, everything started with a very noble cause to protect people, to make sure that they don't get kicked out on the street. And I don't support kicking people out on the street. The landlords and the tenants should work things out with each other and try to make things work. And if they truly and genuinely have a need, a hardship, the humanness in people should come out and say, you know what, I need to help this person. But when they're manipulating the system, and I'm saying this because I see it on a daily basis and I'm getting endless messages, I'm getting endless videos, photos coming from landlords telling me about their hardships. When they're manipulating the system and they really don't have a right to be not paying their rent other than the fact that the government said that they can, it's a travesty. It's a travesty because you're going to have landlords having the same hardships. And for some reason, nobody's going to be protecting them. It's all going to be, I don't know. I like I said, I don't want to get really into it. We're almost at the end of the show, and I think I got animated enough. I think I went up 2-3 shades of red as I started from now till from the beginning of the show till now. I know I got a little bit of red hue from the sun, but I became from like a little red from the sun to tomato color from just my blood boiling and blood pressure coming up. But it's because I really this is a cause that I really truly believe in that needs to be looked into. Everybody's got their agenda. Everybody's got their cause. And it could be every problem out there. For a long time, people were calling me the real estate problem solver and stuff like that. That's just a gimmick. That's just a stick, and that's the shtick and that kind of a thing. But the truth be said, every single problem out there has a solution. It really does. As long as you go open-minded and take a logical approach, and it's not with hidden agendas, and it's not about who's in whose pocket, and it's not about how many votes I could get from one side over the other, and people are just looking at it from a realistic, a logical, a truly, truly reasonable way, you'll find those solutions. I just hope everybody starts coming to their senses sooner than later. Our elected officials start to take this a lot more seriously. Get off that whole who won, who didn't win, who's red, who's blue, that whole situation, and look at the individual things that are affecting their own communities one by one, dissect them, and do the right thing for their people. If you got a state that's divided, blue and red, who cares? They're all your citizens. They're all your residents. Take care of everybody. That's why you're elected. I'm not going to get into this whole election thing anymore, but that's going to be the end of that story. And on that cue, looks like we're coming to the end of the show. As always, I get onto a rant about something that I get really animated about and I really believe in. So there's stuff that I didn't talk about that I had intention to talk about. I'll do a live stream and run into that as well. But like I said, I really believe in this. We'll talk again next week, just like every single week, here on the Real Estate Plate, 6 to 7 p.m. every Monday. Be our Monday before Thanksgiving next week, right? You can do anything special? You can keep to 10 people or under? 5. There you go. I got a problem. You know what my problem is? I got a Greek family. What am I supposed to do? Which one of the siblings or kids or somebody am I supposed to tell they can't come over? I got a big problem. Have a good night, everybody. Have a great week. Make a lot of money in real estate. How's it going?
Okay, thanks for the compliment.
Well, I don't even remember what I said. I just got on a rant right now.
I just happened to sit there. I heard you say that.
You're welcome every time.
I heard you say that pain in the ass is coming on soon. Yeah, I'm gonna open the phones again like I did
You
last
believe this that's going on? Right now?
I'm gonna talk my Trump stuff, my Biden stuff, and and the election.
What's gonna happen?
Oh, it's gonna overturn. They got enough stuff to overturn. They got so much fraud with the software. Dominion software, you heard of it? Dominion software.
No.
They're a corrupt organization. They worked for Chavez. They took a bunch of Trump votes and they switched it to Biden. And I'm going to let you in on the inside stuff because I talked to Rich and he carried for that whole crew. So, but whether the courts will accept it, that's another thing. So we'll probably go over to the Supreme Court. So.
Yet to be seen, huh?
Yeah. So you have any property out of the country that in case Biden wins?
Yeah, go to my father's island and
Where's that? Oh, in Cyprus.
in Greece.
I'm close.
No, I can't go to Cyprus with all the problems with Turkey right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I had these people from Turkey as my guests. When they were friends with Trump, but then Trump realized you can't trust them. I know. It's cool. What are you gonna do? So I'll take a break and we can play my yeah. So and then oh boy. Take your time, Nick.
I'll be out of your hair
No,
in
no,
just a second.
I'll just start my stuff.
Just had to thank everybody for watching, and I just had this camera still on.
What was it?
Huh?
Which
Yeah,
camera?
this one was still on.
You mean ours?
No, I still had this one on.
Oh.